the Josh Dobbs experience, which eventually faded and gave way to Nick Mullens, which is fading and quite possibly giving way, Chris, to Jaren Hall. So as of yesterday morning, we knew they were taking a long look at putting in Hall. Here's Kevin O'Connell from yesterday, making it pretty clear that it could be Nick Mullens getting the giant hook to the sideline.
You know, Alec, we're working through that right now, making sure that, we go through a full evaluation process of, the Lions game, of course, but going back to the Bengals game and taking a look at the inventory of really Nick's both of his starts, when he came into the game against the Raiders as well. We've had some turnovers, there's no doubt about it. And the interceptions has been the story for much of the year since we've kind of lost Kirk at that position. And we're trying to work through what we feel gives us the best chance to still be explosive like we were moving the football the other day against the Lions. But we've got to find a way to still possess the football and not set our team back.
That's the key. The offense moves the ball, but the quarterback throws the interceptions. You need somebody who doesn't throw the interceptions. Now, here's the balance. Jaren Hall, rookie, he's going to make mistakes. TJ Hawkinson, out for the year with a torn ACL and MCL. What a time to suffer that.
Yeah, that was tough.
That's the Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson had that happen Christmas Eve 2011. Somehow was ready to go week 1 the next year. We're conditioned to think that guys come back from it quickly. They don't always come back from it quickly. We don't know when Hawkinson will be 100% again. And Jordan Addison suffered an ankle injury during the game. So will the full complement of weapons be there to make it easier for Jaren Hall to go out and run the offense? I don't know. And they're still alive for the postseason. It's a tough call for Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah,
they're still alive for the postseason. Do you trust Nick Mullens to iron things out? Or do you give Jaren Hall a start or two and see if that kickstarts you going into the playoffs? And, like you've been saying, we want the playoff teams to be competitive in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And this Vikings team, with all the self-inflicted wounds, they're not ready to go out and win a high-stakes, winner-take-all, loser-goes-home playoff game.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, you said it. It is a tough decision. We heard Kevin O'Connell. I think he explained it exactly the right way. It's the balance of, can we get a quarterback that can take care of the football? But, within that, we don't want him to take care of the football so much that we can't drive down the field and hit Justin Jefferson and be a high-functioning offense. Now, with Nick Mullens, a quarterback, they have moments and drives of being high-functioning. They do, and he does some good things. It's just when it's bad, it's really bad. I mean, the 2 interceptions, as we noted, last week against the Bengals, they were horrible. I mean, that lost the Vikings the football game. Probably should have been up 27-3. Forget the 17-3 comeback. Probably should have been 27-3. Or at least more, somewhere in that range. But that one, inexcusable before the half. Just throwing the ball to a defender, Mike Hilton interception. Here, this one. 3rd and 7 in field goal range. Okay, you took a sack. So what? You're at the 30-yard line. Don't try to throw it. D-tackle gets the interception. This one. Okay, not horrible here, right? This is one you can live with on a 4th and 2. Nobody was open, right? Maybe could have stayed in the pocket and gone through some other reads, but then there was some other ones in this game that were bad. Like this one you see here. It had 1 or 2 drop too as well, Mike. My big assessment here, the balance is I don't think you're going back to Josh Dobbs. I don't see that happening. And I don't think it's fair to throw out Jaren Hall in this situation and think that he's going to be in a position to succeed and do anything real positive for this Vikings football team, nor give your locker room a chance to think wait, can we really win this football game? I still think Nick Mullens is the play. I do. Especially when you look at the schedule and go, hey, Packers, right? We know they can move the ball and they got some explosive elements of their offense. Lions last week of the year, as we know, they can move the ball and do some things too. So I don't think you could sit there and go, we're going to rely on our defense and Jaren Hall and we'll play a defensive style type of football game. That's where I just don't see that happening. And as much as they probably want to bench Nick Mullens for the crazy decisions, I think it's probably still the best decision they got here going into week 17.
Well, it's a combination of crazy decisions and just bad throws in bad occasions. The Kirby Joseph interception of Jordan Addison. And look, I understand when you're calling a game, there's a lot happening and you have to speak immediately. You have to formulate the thoughts. You have to articulate it. It's not easy. You got 15 seconds to get your thought out there. Jonathan Vilma, who I love, he's an alum of the former PFT afternoon show on NBCSN, RIPIP. But Vilma said that Kirby Joseph baited baited Nick Mullens into throwing that ball to Jordan Addison. It's just a bad throw. Addison was open.
Yeah.
It was late. It came in late. You hit him while he's open, it's a touchdown. The Justin Jefferson throw at the end of the game.
Yeah.
If it's not a fluttering out of his fingertips, it's a touchdown. So I think what's going to happen, now that we've talked it through, I think what's going to happen is much like what occurred the last Josh Dobbs start. It's going to be Mullens on a very short leash.
Yep, right.
And the first time he hands the ball over to the defense, whether it's the short little which way did he go pass where the Bengals guy just like, hey, here's the football. Thank you. Or does something that would fall into the category of just head scratching, stupid, misfire, whatever. That's when he's out and Jaren Hall's in. So they'll get them both ready. And that's what I think is going to happen. I don't know, but I think it makes the most sense because they still have a chance.
Yes, right.
Slim as it may be, I think it's like an 18% chance to make the playoffs. I still don't know how they come up with those numbers, but regardless, they still have a chance. If they and it's their final home game of the year. It's prime time. You want to put your best foot forward.
Exactly.
You want to win that game for your fans. If you're not going to the playoffs, you at least beat the Packers on New Year's Eve at home. You don't want that to be a preseason game, a meaningless game. Hey, let's go see what the rookie can do game. You want to put your best team out there and try to win the game. And knowing that you've got some serious injuries, it's going to make your offense not as good as it otherwise would be. Yeah, 400 yards is 400 yards.
Yeah, there's still
one
some
hand,
good
400
things.
yards. On the other hand, 4 interceptions.
Right.
So if he doesn't get it done, he's out and Jaren Hall's in, or Josh Dobbs is in, one or the other. I don't know, but probably Jaren Hall.
It's big moment football. It's situational football where Nick Mullens just has to see the bigger picture a little bit. I think that's the big thing. But we talked about Green Bay's offense, the weapons they have there too, but also can Jaren? There's two sides to this story too. Where we know Green Bay's defense is struggling right now. I mean, everybody's moving the ball. I mean, Bryce Young and the Panthers started moving the ball up and down the field on the Packers like the Panthers were a big-time offense, and we know they've struggled all year. So there's also that thought that goes into it there. Okay, wait, they're not playing very good on defense. Can Jaren Hall go in there and, make it happen a little bit because they're not good? Or do we really want to throw Jaren Hall in there, and he might not be able to take advantage of all the plays that are there and there to be had against this Packers defense? And that to me would be another notch or check that I would go, well, that's where I feel more comfortable with Nick Mullens as well. And then you add that on to some of the things you talked about with Hawkinson not being there. That would be a rookie quarterback friendly target over the middle. No Addison, certainly, or we'll see where that stands when it's all said and done. Your run game, certainly never anything to go, we'll be able to depend on it this week. It's all over the place. You don't have a very good run game. I think all those things and what you said point to Nick Mullens being the quarterback. And then hopefully they can coach some of these turnovers, out of him. Again, for a quarterback, a backup quarterback, hey, it's hard. You haven't played. You haven't done much. And, you could play good and boom, boom, boom. Hey, the first 20 throws, I was really good. And all of a sudden you make one mistake and all of a sudden, I got an interception and 4 or 5 throws. And you go, well, okay, I've only made one mistake out of 25 throws. And then you make another mistake. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I actually was playing pretty good here. And now I'm on the verge of being a laughingstock on Christmas Eve. And that's kind of what happened to Nick Mullens too. And, that's where he's got to gauge the game differently and just have a feel of the big picture of the game. Instead of maybe being so aggressive and trying to make so many plays all the time.
I'm sure there were moments during that game because Kevin O'Connell's been transparent about this in the past when he was considering yanking Josh Dobbs. He thought about doing it during that Bears Monday night game.
Yeah, sure.
And didn't.
Right.
There had to have been occasions where he's thinking somebody else has to go in there. Because I assume O'Connell, since he came from the Sean McVay coaching tree, and there's a lot of similarities in the DNA between McVay and Shanahan, and it all goes back to Gruden as well. The idea that you're driving my Ferrari, I'm entrusting you with the keys to it, and if you crash it into a pole, you're not going to be driving it anymore. And there was a lot of pole crashing going on Christmas Eve from Nick Mullens. So This gets back to the open to the show. He loves him not. And I don't know how much football Kirk Cousins has left. I'm sure he's considering his football mortality, what he's going to do when it's time to call it quits, how many more years he has left. He'll be 36 next year when the season begins, coming off of a torn Achilles tendon. One thing we know about Achilles tendon tears, Chris, makes you more susceptible to tearing the other one. He's not going to be any younger next year, and we know how hard he works to keep his body where it needs to be, and he's been this master of durability over the years. Who knows? I mean, look at what happened this year with all the quarterbacks. Can we assume any of them will stay healthy all year next year? If Kirk Cousins had stayed healthy all year, as you've said, this Vikings team would be in position to make a run at the Super Bowl. I don't know that they could beat the 49ers, but who knows after what we saw this past weekend. But they don't have their starting quarterback. If you have your starting quarterback, you should be in a position to contend and compete. And if you don't, then that's on you. Because so many other teams are down to QB2, QB3, QB4, QB this guy, QB that guy, QB, can we find a QB anywhere? So if they could keep him all year next year, they could have a good season. But you can't account for when the injuries are going to happen. And we know this year that the quarterbacks are less immune than ever before, it feels like, to getting injured.
Yeah, well, maybe this will be the wake-up call to some of these teams to stop, looking to trim the fat on the salary cap or the roster with the backup quarterback position, right? I mean, we've had these discussions in the past. The big reason why, the fat has been trimmed in the backup quarterback position, it's two reasons. One, a lot of teams want a quarterback that's clearly the king. So there's a huge drop-off sometimes between the first and the second quarterback, right? Good or bad, I don't know. I would say if you got a good team, that's a bad idea. I don't know. We grew up in an era where, hey, Joe Montana's backup was Steve Young. Phil Simms' backup was Jeff Hostetler. Jim Kelly had Frank Reich, right? I mean, Brett Favre was up there in Green Bay. They had him, Mark Brunell, Kurt Warner. Who else am I missing? I mean, so this when the game used to be brutal, the backup quarterback was a little more valuable. But that's the key, too. It's not only anointing the quarterback the king, but it's also because of the rules of hitting the quarterback that teams have rolled the dice a little bit and gone, the rules are so, they're so good to protect the quarterbacks right now. We'll take a chance and spend a little less money on a lesser backup quarterback. Maybe this is a wake-up call. Spend a little extra money in these cases. Now, Minnesota got unlucky, too, here with the fact that, Kirk Cousins got hurt and their backup and Nick Mullens, who they really like, was hurt as well. And he wasn't being able to practice, and I think that also leads to him not maybe being at his best at this point of the year, right? And Kevin O'Connell's done everything. I mean, this is one, again, where you look at it and go, man, he's still getting people open. Right? They're still unbelievable and a pretty high functioning offense with no matter who's at quarterback. But it's the dumb things, and like we showed on that interception package. It's missed throws, it's stupid decisions, it's the 4th and 2. I don't know. Can we go and show that again, guys? If we can show the interception pack, the 4th and 2 that he throws the deep crosser to. I know that wasn't bad, right? Because it's 4th and 2. It ends up being like a punt. All right, and we'll go through it. Here's the Vikings one. This one's inexcusable. I don't know how you don't see this. He throws it to Justin Jefferson. He's not even looking. This one we know is unexcusable too. But after this, we're going to see the 4th and 2. And this is where I might ask you guys to slow it down or rewind a little bit here. But pocket's clean, right? So rewind, yeah. Now, what I want you to see, so as this goes, got to go. Watch Justin Jefferson. He's going to run the in cut here. He's wide open. See him at the top of the screen, Mike? Go back one more time, guys, if you can. See that? And those are little things, too, as a quarterback. Like, I know that's the first read, right, that he's throwing to. Get off it. It's not open. The pocket's clean. Hit Justin Jefferson on the in cut. But, again, that's not playing, and the game's still moving fast, and he's forcing him some issues. Just like this, even a 3rd and 8, just give up and just chuck it down the field. Again, not the worst because it was a 3rd and 8 and acts like a punt a little bit, but it doesn't give the confidence of your coach.
But if it's put out there, it's a touchdown.
Well,
that's the one that if he puts it out there, it's a touchdown.
Yes, that he saw it late and then just tried to chuck it, and that would look stupid. That's what it looked like, and there's some issues there. It doesn't give your offense or your play caller confidence is where I was going with that last comment.
He should have only had 3 interceptions for the day because the 4th and 2 ball should have been knocked down. It was like 20 yards of field position the Lions lost by actually Brian Branch getting the interception to atone for the one that should have been the pick 6 to make it 14-0 instead of 7-7. That was another one. So it evened out. Should have had 3. Nah, should have had 4 because Branch would have had that one on the opening drive of the game. And it would have been 14-0 just like that. He might have had 5 interceptions on the day because they would have been in a hole and they'd have been throwing even more.
I feel like
his numbers for this
drops,
season.
Go ahead.
And he did. Maybe 2. His numbers for this season in 2 starts are amazing. 797 yards in 2 starts. He's completed nearly 70% of his passes. He's averaging 9.7 yards per attempt. But he's got 4 touchdown passes and 6 interceptions.
Yeah, that's a butt. Yeah, that's a big butt. You're right.
That's the big butt.
Yes.
That's Nick Mullens got a big old butt, and that's it.
It is. But with that, and as we've talked about, a shame Kirk Cousins is hurt. How could you not like your offense and what your coach does, Kevin O'Connell up in Minnesota? Does anybody get him open downfield more than Kevin O'Connell in football? I don't know. Right now in the NFL? Is Minnesota, are you guys the Kings? You guys hit more 15 and 20-yard completions than any team in football. It's like there's no 2 or 3 yard throw. There's nothing short. It's like it's either 20 yards or go home. And it's fun to watch. It is. It's just the quarterback play is not matching the head coach and play caller there totally, and that's what's a shame for you and the Vikings this year.
Interesting to see what the offseason strategy will be. I think it's imperative to bring back Kirk Cousins. Now, he's in a position, based upon the play of Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullens, to ask for more than maybe he would have requested. He can be a free agent. He can go anywhere. The way the contract is structured, they can't keep him in place. They can't. They're going to have to work out a deal with him if they want to keep him around. But I think they also need to balance it out, not with a developmental guy, but somebody that they believe can take the baton and become that franchise player. Before the season started, I didn't expect them to be in playoff contention. I thought this year would be a step back from last year.
Right.
I didn't expect them to be a team that, even though they're 7-8, feels like they could be competitive with some of the better teams in the NFL. But going into the year, I just thought the idea was, okay, we'd like to be able to draft our guy next year that we're going to have for 10 or 15 years. They're not going to be in a position to do that. So kick the can for a year, have Kirk. I don't know, if a guy falls into their lap that they really like in round 2, round 3, whatever, maybe you do that.
That's what you do.
But,
right.
But O'Connell is proving that when he has the ability to work with a guy who can make the throws, who can be taught the offense, that he can engineer. Just like McVay, just like Shanahan.
Right.
He can engineer yards and points.
Right.
The butt just needs to not be there with the interceptions. 4 in a game. They've had 4 in a game twice now. Once from Dobbs and once from Mullens. And they've got 2 games left, and they need some help. And maybe they get in. But if they get in, come on. They're the 7 seed. They're going to go to, and who knows? The 2 seed's still up in the air. It could still be the Lions, frankly, if the Lions beat the Cowboys on Saturday night. But wherever the Vikings would go as the 7 seed, it's not going to be promising. But it's one more week, it's one more game, it's one more opportunity to try to build for next year. Whatever they do the rest of this year is about building for next year. Extend the season a week to help you better prepare for next year. And then next year, if you get Kirk Cousins back and he stays healthy, who knows what's going to happen. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.